This is the Cincinnati-Dayton Guild of the Network of Biblical Storytellers International. We do this evening as a tribute to the late Richard Rice. Hear now the book of Jonah. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, "Go to Nineveh, that great city, at once, and cry out against it, because their wickedness has come up before me." But Jonah went to Tarshish. He fled away from the presence of the Lord. He went to Joppa, found a ship that was sailing to Tarshish. He paid his fare and boarded it to sail with them to Tarshish, away from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord hurled a great wind, and it caused a mighty storm upon the sea, so that the ship almost broke up. The mariners were terrified, and each prayed to his own God. They took the cargo from the ship and threw it into the sea, so as to lighten the load. Jonah, meanwhile, had gone down into the hold of the ship and had lain down and had fallen fast asleep. The captain came to him and said, "Why are you asleep? Get up, cry out to your God. Maybe your God will spare a thought to us so that we shall not perish." The sailors said, "Come, let us cast lots, so as to know on whose account this calamity has come upon us." And they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. And they turned to him and said, "What have you done that this calamity has come upon us? What is your occupation? Where are you from? What is your country? And of what people are you?" "I am a Hebrew," he replied. "I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land."
Then the men were even more afraid, and they said, "What is this that you have done?" Because they knew that he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord, for he had told them so. They asked him, "What is it that we can do to you so that the sea will calm down for us?" Because the sea had become more tempestuous. Jonah said to them, "Well, pick me up and throw me into the sea, and then the sea will calm for you, because it is because of me that this calamity has come upon you." But the men began to row, and they rowed hard. They rowed hard trying to reach the land, but they couldn't, because the sea became more and more stormy against them. And then they cried out, "Oh Lord, please do not make us guilty and perish because of this man's life, and do not make us guilty of shedding innocent blood." Then they picked up Jonah and they threw him overboard, and the sea calmed immediately. And the men became even more afraid of the Lord, and they offered a sacrifice and they made vows. But the Lord sent a large fish that swallowed up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of that fish for 3 days and 3 nights.
Then Jonah prayed to the Lord his God out of the belly of the fish. He said, "I called to the Lord out of my distress, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. You cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the flood surrounded me. All your waves and your billows passed over me. Then I said, I'm driven away from the sight of the Lord. how shall I again look upon your holy temple? The waters closed in over me, and the flood and the deep surrounded me. Weeds were wrapped around my neck at the roots of the mountains. I went down to the land whose bars closed upon me forever. Yet, the Lord brought up my life out of the pit. And then, as my life was ebbing away, I prayed to the Lord, and I remembered the Lord. And my prayer came to you into your holy temple. Those who worship vain idols forsake their true loyalty. But I, with a voice of thanksgiving, will offer my sacrifice. What I have vowed, I will pay. Deliverance belongs to the Lord. And then the Lord spoke to the fish, and it spewed Jonah out onto the dry land.
And then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Get up and go to Nineveh, that great city, and proclaim to it the message that I tell you. So Jonah got up and set out for Nineveh, according to the word of the Lord. Now, Nineveh was exceedingly large city, 3 days walk across. And Jonah began to go into Nineveh, going about a day's walk, and crying out, 40 days more, and Nineveh falls. And the people believed God. They proclaimed a fast, and everyone, great and small, put on sackcloth. When the message came to the king of Nineveh, he rose from his throne, removed his robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and he sat in ashes. And then the king had a proclamation made in Nineveh. By decree of the king and his nobles, no human being or animal shall taste anything. They shall not eat, nor shall they drink water. Human beings and animals shall cover themselves with sackcloth and cry mightily to the Lord. Everyone shall turn from their evil ways and from the violence that is in their hands. Who knows? Perhaps God will relent and have a change of mind and turn from fierce anger so that we do not perish. When God saw what they did, how they did turn from their evil ways, God had a change of mind about the calamity God had said God would bring upon them. And God did not do it.
But this was very displeasing to Jonah, and he became angry, and he prayed to the Lord and said, "Oh Lord, is this not what I said when I was still in my own country? That's why I fled to Tarsus at the beginning. For I knew that you were a gracious God and merciful and slow to anger and abounding of steadfast love and ready to relent from punishing. Now, oh Lord, just please take my life from me, for it's better for me to die than to live." And the Lord said to him, "Is it right for you to be angry?" And then Jonah went out of the city, and he sat down east of the city, and he made a booth for himself there. He sat under it in the shade, waiting to see what would become of the city. But the Lord God appointed a bush and made it come up over Jonah to give shade over his head, to save him from his discomfort. And so Jonah was very happy about the bush. But when dawn came up the next day, God appointed a worm that attacked the bush so that it withered. When the sun rose, God prepared a sultry east wind, and the sun beat down on the head of Jonah so that he was faint, and he asked that he might just die. He said, "It's better for me to die than to live."
But God said to Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the bush?" And he said, "Yes, angry enough to die." And then the Lord said to him, "You are angry about a bush for which you did not labor, and you did not grow. It came into being in the night, and it perished in the night. And should I not be concerned about Nineveh, that great city, where there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left, and also many cattle?"